How you doing, y'all? Welcome to Confidence. I got a lovely podcast for you guys today. Got a lot of questions from the audience. Love to see that. Honestly, most of the questions came from my coachees, my coochies. So they're going to tell you what's on their motherfucking minds. And honestly, we've had a lot of shit happen. You know, last podcast, definitely very heavy. I was crying like a little bitch. Nah, chill. That shit was hardcore. Nah, I was definitely crying. Obviously vulnerability and sadness makes me feel weird, as you guys can tell. So anyways, yes, we've had a long road to this podcast. Honestly, it's taken me so long to fucking record this podcast. I don't know what happened to me this week. I weirdly hit this like emotional wall. I'm sure it has a lot to do with my situation. And honestly, that's where we're going to start. I do have the questions. We're going to talk about setting a boundary with somebody and them being upset. We're going to be talking about putting all of your eggs in one basket early on the dating process. We're really going to go after the being grateful for somebody versus settling. Whoa, that's been the topic the last few weeks, has it not? And then also we're going to talk about polarity, and all these things are going to wind up together. So we got a great lineup today. Let's get into it. Let's enjoy the fucking moment. Let's enjoy the motherfucking day. And let's get after it. So last podcast, like I said, waterworks. I was going down. But before I did that, before I did all the crying, I was talking to you guys about my situation and how I was praying to God, and then she called me, and then, we're back at this, place, and it's very weird. It's very strange. Because I was like, I'm like talking to this girl and like the vibes are good and it just feels like everything's in alignment, but it almost feels like there's this piece of attraction that I feel like is missing. And what I realized is I feel like I figured it out. I feel like I figured out what it was, but we're going to get into that. I'm going to let it happen naturally. But here's what people said, right? Honestly, it's funny. Since I made that podcast, I've had a couple people reach out to me. A lot of people. I've been leaving a lot of comments. I've been hearing a lot of opinions from my friends, from people, but I hear two different coins, or two different coins, two different sides of the story, right? So the first camp of people is like, Chris, unicorns don't exist. I got that comment. Unicorns don't exist. I had this girl reach out to me and she was talking to me about, what is the difference between, seeking perfection versus, just dating somebody that is good enough. And I think that's what she was saying, right? And so this girl was even saying in her message to me, she's like, I've been reflecting on saying yes to good enough if someone has a growth mindset, because I feel like there is never a perfect person, perfect situations, and strong boundaries can definitely be an excuse to not put in the work, avoid intimacy, and reject a genuine person. So I've been hearing that a lot as well, right? It's like this side that is like, Chris, like, what are you doing? It doesn't necessarily need to be perfect. Why don't you give that person a chance? If it's so good, why don't you let it rock, right? You were hearing a lot of that. It's actually fucking sus as fuck. My ex reached out to me, and what's really super sus, even more sus, is that the reason I feel like we ended back in the day, we're talking about like 5-6 years ago, maybe 7. This was like an old one. And I was like telling her about the situation, and I was like, yeah, it's kind of like the same thing that kind of happened to you. I was like, I kind of didn't feel this energy, right? I was getting to that point with that person where I kind of felt like it was more of a friendship than it was like this lustful romantic connection. And yeah, we broke up. There was definitely more that maybe was not in alignment in that relationship, but a lot of it was that. So obviously she's hounding on me, and she's like, like, when are you going to stop? Like, when are you going to settle down? Like, she's going in because she's triggered. And that's what I realized too, is like the people that have said this, no offense, and just to be real, I do feel like I've heard this more from women than I have from men. And not to say that, there's a bias there, but, I think that there's maybe a little bit more grace on the side of women in this situation a little bit. And then also too, I feel like a lot of women maybe experience this where they sometimes feel like they are not enough for a lot of the guys that they, try to date and end up with. So I think when I talk about it out loud like that, it's frustrating. It's triggering to hear. Right. And I think that's what the good enough girl was telling me right now. She's like, you're avoiding intimacy, whatnot. And here's what's funny is like, I feel like there is some truth to that. And again, this is why I think this situation has been a little confusing for me as well. Now, the other side of the coin, right, is a lot of people have also been very angry at me. I've had a lot of people been telling me what to do with my life lately. It's been actually kind of wild. Then you also have these comments where people are like, you know what it is. If it was fully there, you would have felt it by now. You feel it. You know the difference. Trust yourself. Let it go. Just like, let her go. Like, what are you doing? Don't keep, talking to her anymore. Like, what's the point of that? You already know something's off. So you have two kind of sides of the coin that are both like pushing me. And it's funny because I'm like, this is the internal battle I'm having. And it's funny because people are commenting to me as if they know what the truth is. And I'm like, if you know that that's the truth and you know that that's the truth, like, which one is the truth? And I'm like, that's why I'm sitting here right now in this chair, in this situation, in this predicament, because to be honest, y'all, like, it's complicated, right? Sometimes people make it seem like it's very simple. And sometimes it's not. Now, again, I do think that there's actually some truth to both sides, and I want to talk about that a little bit. But the question that I really want to tackle and answer, and I actually just got off the phone with a coachee right before this, and she was struggling with this with a guy. But the question is, what's the line between being grateful for somebody versus settling? And I think that is the internal battle that I'm having, right? It's like being grateful for this person that is showing up and is so genuine and is so real and great friendship versus like, hey, I'm kind of feeling like there's no spark, there's no energy. Like, what's going on here, right? It almost, sometimes I literally sometimes feel sometimes like it's almost settling. And I can't seem to figure out why. Although I think I figured it out. And let me just tell you what I feel like the answer is in general. And we're going to talk about this as well. You know what? Let me bring up the other situation one of my coachees said to me as well. So I'm going to answer two questions at once. I hope you guys are going to follow, but you guys get it. This is what I do. I'm like ADHD. Actually, fuck that. I don't ADHD. I got pissed off right now. I'm like, I'm not motherfucking ADHD. Okay. I hate when people try to put me in a damn box and they call me ADHD. I'm like, fuck you. You don't know me. You don't know my fucking life. All right. Next topic. But one of my coochies, we talk very frequently, almost every day, actually, me and this one, she's fucking awesome. But she was like, hey, good morning, not work related or business, whatever. But she was like, have you wondered if you did find somebody with your energy and everything aligned, would it work out the way that you envisioned? She said, I asked because me and my partner were polar opposites, and she was talking about how his personality is very outgoing, humorous, big personality. And every time I matched his energy, which did happen at times when I was feeling my best self, it never lasted, right? We were not ourselves. His role needed to be one way and mine another. And I'm not sure why, but it did. And she's like, maybe that was me settling, but I never thought I was settling in my relationship. And I still don't think I ever was. So, and I guess her question is, if you find everything that it is that you want, quote unquote, are you going to feel like it's enough? Or are you going to be satisfied with it? And to even really caveat the fuck out of this is I just got off the phone with a coachee. I helped her with her boundaries. We are fucking moving and grooving. She was in a situationship with this guy for a very long time. And I want to say, since I've been working with her, we've been working probably close to a year. That's kind of crazy. I actually just didn't realize that. But she finally is at this place where she met this new guy. This new guy is showing up like crazy, right? Like, homie apparently is like picking her up, dropping her off at yoga, doing all the things, met her family, good vibes. Apparently, it was a situation where he hadn't also introduced intimacy into the relationship very fast. They still haven't done that. And it's freaking her out a little bit. But it's interesting because she's like, we get on the phone today and she's like, well, it's weird, Chris. She's like, I have everything I want, right? We're sitting here. She's like, I write out my affirmations. We created some affirmations together. She's like, she's been writing them out every day for a very long time. She's like, I finally am at this place where I got rid of the other guy. And she knows that that's not good for her. So she's like done with him permanently. That's as what she says. But I believe her because she's been really good with her boundaries with him. And he's really tried. You know how that goes. You fucking tell somebody no and they finally like, oh my God, I love you. That's what he's doing. But he's gone now. But now she has this new guy, and they've been hanging out for over like a month or so. And she's like, Chris, like, I don't know. And she is almost like she didn't want to admit to me that she felt a little smothered. She didn't want to admit, I think, out loud to herself that there was a piece of her that felt like there was this energy that was missing in the relationship. She did cite, she's like, I did relate to you a lot in your last podcast. I feel like, maybe he's not my normal type, and that's a little bit what it is. And like, he's just so peaceful. He's so fucking respectful. He's doing all the fucking things. But I just sometimes don't feel this energy, right? Or she's feeling like it's a little much. She's like, I'm definitely in. I really like him. It's not that I'm like getting rid of him. It's none of that. It's not that. But I think she's missing. And she's like, I don't know what it is. And this is what I realized. This is what I'm realizing about all these situations is you need polarity. You need healthy challenge in a relationship. There needs to be boundaries. And this is why all the anxious people that I work with, this is what I essentially help them with, which is like, you have to value your needs and you need to speak up on your needs for the sake of the relationship, right? You think that you're doing the right thing by always being so nice and so genuine and so respectful, but sometimes you can go too far with it. Right? Sometimes if you don't actually stick up for what it is that you value or bring a little of energy or I don't want to say it's almost like healthy conflict. I know that sounds strange, but almost healthy confrontation, right? Sometimes we need to create space. Sometimes we need to bring in, hey, I want to do this tonight. Oh, you want to do that? No. This is what I want to do. Oh, you want to eat that? Oh, no. But what do I want to eat? Do you see what I'm saying? And there's a lot of people that always wonder, they're in this negative dating cycle. And again, a lot of them are anxious, right? And they wonder why they meet these people. These people turn around and tell them, hey, you're so nice and you're so amazing, but I just don't want a relationship with you. And a lot of the times is because you're not staying true to what it is that you value, right? And a lot of the times it's like a lot of my anxious, you want deep commitment and you're not fighting for it. You're not banging on the table. You're like, I need this. Because again, you think that you're doing the right thing by laying over and accepting what they want and being so thoughtful. And oh my God, I'm so compassionate. I need to show them compassion. They're going through a hard time. Like sometimes you actually know you need to be firm. You need to be hard. And so, what I'm realizing, and this is what I was like taken back a little bit about my situation. I was like, wait a minute. Maybe it's not that it's just not fully like a physical attraction. It's actually an energy. It's an energy that I'm missing. And I think the energy that I'm missing is this healthy challenge. Because again, even to my coachee situation, again, it's not bad. It's not like it's like, oh my God, I need to get rid of this person. It's just kind of like, hey, I need some space. Or like, I kind of want you to ask for some space. As weird as it sounds, right? It's like you want your partner, like it's almost like you want them to do the thing that you don't want them to do. It's the weirdest fucking thing. Because here's the other situation with my coachee, right? It was like when they first started, she had accepted a dinner with the old situationship, and the new guy kind of found out, and the new guy was like, yo, that's bullshit. Like, what are you still seeing him for kind of energy? And he was like, I'm not talking to you for this weekend. I need a chance to decompress, right? And my coachee called me. She's like, Chris, I don't know. I'm anxious. Like, what if he leaves me? All this shit. And I was like, don't worry. Like, it's going to be okay. Like, give him some space. He just needs some time. Like, it was a lot. Again, there was no disrespect on my coachee's side, and something that we're going to talk about in terms of putting all of your eggs in one basket early on in the dating process. But there was this energy where she was like, oh my God, like I'm anxious. I miss this person. I need this person. They ended up talking. And again, now it's been perfectly respectful for like a month straight. And what's interesting is like, she like, again, didn't realize it because in the moment she was like, I can't have you not talk to me for a couple days like that. Like that was way too much, which is fair. She doesn't want to feel that. But again, it's almost just like in a relationship, you also need a little bit of bite. It can't just be all purely ooey gooey. You get what I'm saying? And I think sometimes, like, again, it's like hard because you don't want to you can't tell somebody to act that way, right? It's not about being purposely toxic. So I guess the question that you might have in your mind is like, okay, I am a genuine person, but how do I bring healthy challenge into a relationship? I'm like, okay, good question, right? Because I feel like I like to believe I'm a good, healthy balance, right? Like I could be like respectful, like ooey gooey, like give me a kiss, baby. But like also in the bedroom, I'm sticking a finger in your ass. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm going to hold it down. I'm going to choke you down. Right. And you need both. You can't just have one without the other. You see what I'm saying? So I feel like respectful challenge or healthy challenge, to me, what it looks like is maybe taking time for yourself from the relationship. I think it looks like having needs that are being fulfilled by other people that are not in the relationship, such as friendship and family and even yourself, the relationship with yourself, healthy alone time, right? Taking the time to go to the gym by yourself. If you're always hanging out with your partner, you're doing everything together. Healthy challenge could look like, hey, I just want to go to the gym today and I wanted to do me. I want to have a me day today. It's not, hey, I'm going to go disrespect you and I'm going to go fuck off on you and I'm going to shit on you. But it looks like, hey, I want to cultivate the relationship with myself. Or maybe it looks like having a hobby that has nothing to do with your partner and spending some time with people or friends or doing things that are not associated with your partner. And I think that you need to have that balance, truly, because I think it does get stale if you don't have your own thing going on. I think it does get stale if you can't check your partner. And I think that was something that I feel like I was feeling with this girl a little bit is, just to be honest, I'm 32, she's 26. I got a little bit of miles on her. I do this for a living. I am a very, I would say, forward, boundary, strong personality kind of energy. And I think sometimes in this relationship, I feel like there's been a lot of times where I feel like maybe she hasn't been strong in her boundaries or hasn't been really firm with me, right? I think sometimes, honestly, the long distance situation, I think that was a lot of where that like lust and luster and that love came from, was that we were like very opposite. And almost just like because of that opposite energy, it was like this friction and this, this sexual tension, right? That could happen because of just the energy that you have. Now, it wasn't always that, right? And again, to me, that is unhealthy. If you're constantly fighting and you're constantly arguing and it's toxic, you don't want to be in that situation. That doesn't feel good. Right? I will never be in a relationship where that is the state of the relationship. I want to be in a relationship where it is peaceful like this. I want to be in a relationship where I do have my best friend. It's not hard. I don't want it to be hard. But I think that there does say something to being really firm in what it is that you feel, really firm in what it is that you believe, also bringing in your own energy into the relationship. I actually started with this new guy that I've been coaching. And I see this happen a lot with more, also men as well, right? It's boundaries on both sides, right? You got to create that energy, again, that healthy challenge. And he was talking about how he like swoons over girls really quick. And he talked about like, he had 2 major relationships in his life. And, I was asking about his friendship circle. I said, hey, how close are you with your friends? He's like, nah, I got a couple, but we're older now. It's not as close. And he's like, yeah, I'm not as close to my family. I was like, okay. So I asked him this question. I said, when you date a girl, do you mix into her friendship circle or does she mix into yours? And he was like, he's like, I never thought about that question. He was like, I feel like it was probably more me assimilating into her life. And I was like, interesting. And then also the last girl, right, that the more recent one he's been talking to, she friend zoned him. And he was like, yo, it was so electric. We had all this great chemistry. We were hanging out all the time. And then all of a sudden she just like turned around and was like, yeah, I just kind of want to be your friend. He's like, I don't understand. But then now he's still her friend. And what I think he started to realize, he was like, oh shit. I've been trying to like change my personality in order to fit her view. He's kind of like a little bit more quiet and he's a little like he's into computers and he's like, he's got a couple athletic things that he's into, but I think some part of him, It's like he sees this girl and apparently she's like, kind of a rock star athlete kind of energy, like into yoga and shit. And he's like, and what he ends up doing with this girl is like, he feels he needs to be this like yoga athletic guy in order to receive her. But what ends up happening is he starts to assimilate too much into her life, right? He starts to take on the personality that she thinks maybe she's looking for, or he thinks that she is looking for, right? You try to morph yourself into the person that you're trying to date because you want to date them, right? You care about them. So that's what I'm saying. A lot of people, right, is like we morph ourselves or we give in so much to our partner to the point that it actually becomes almost unattractive, right? My coachee today said on the phone, was like, I appreciate the respect, but there's a moment where it's like, it's too respectful. Like you got to bring in a little bit of energy. And that's what I told him. I was like, yo, you're no different than this woman. I was like, what makes your hobby of what you like not as good as the hobbies that she likes? And by you assimilating too much and changing yourself, you're almost showing her that you don't value you and that you don't trust you. Like somebody is going to love you for all the things that you are and what it is that you value. And I think sometimes, again, like I said, too much of us, we get too much into the pleasing, too much into the compromise, right? Too much into the, how would I say, the empathy, my empaths. Like this is, to be honest, a lot of the times I will just say this, if you're an empathetic person, you probably really struggle sometimes with attraction and energy and edge and dating, is because you can't build that balance. You can't build that mystery. You can't build that fun because you're being too respectful. Weirdly enough, right? You're being too, like I said, empathetic, and you're losing sight and you're abandoning yourself in an attempt to not be abandoned by the other person that you're dating. So I think in every relationship, I think that is really what I guess creates a great relationship over the long term. This is what I help people with, right? Is if you're an avoidant person, what do we need to do? We need to build more closeness, right? I tell you about this all the time. If you're an anxious person, you need to build more space, right? You got to lean more into yourself, right? My avoidance, that's almost what happens a little too much is you get, you don't have enough, maybe you should have a little bit more compromise. I think that's something that I'm working on. And that's why I think in my situations, it's a little bit of a challenge, right? Who am I attracting? As an avoidant person, who do I attract? You guessed it, pleasers, people that I can bulldoze. And that's what happens, right? Is I get in these relationships with these girls, and because they don't want the relationship to end with me, they end up doing everything that I want them to do. And then what do? I say, hey, I find you unattractive. Say, oh, maybe we should just be friends, or I don't want commitment. So weirdly enough, I think that my situation, right? I think the reason that it has felt a little bit more like settling is because maybe in a lot of ways, she is inadvertently maybe put me on a pedestal, and maybe inadvertently I have devalued her, right? For that reason. Now, here's the thing. I don't want to just say that just because you have boundaries with somebody means you're going to earn their love, right? That's not what it is. Because here's the other factor. And this is why I think the listening to my body people, I think they do have a little bit of a point. When we first started talking, I also got a comment that somebody said, why even start dating her if you didn't find her attractive? And here's the thing. It's not that I didn't find her attractive. She just wasn't necessarily my full type. And she wasn't somebody I was jumping out of bed for, in the sense of that, right? And I don't think she felt that way about me either early on. To be honest, that's true. When I first met her, she actually approached me. She approached me when I was walking into the club, and she said, hey, I like your videos. I think you're funny. And I was like, oh, here, add me on Instagram. I go inside the club. I add another 3 girls on Instagram. And I go home and I don't think anything about it. You know what I'm saying? I really didn't think anything of it. I was like, oh, that girl was kind of cute. But I was like, I kind of scored that night. I was like, oh, that girl's cute. That girl's cute. That girl's cute. Like, let's create some connections. Cool. But I was at the place of my life, and I still am, where I meet girls, and sometimes I'm just like, oh, that was cool to create the connection, but I'm not really thinking that deep into what it is. She posts a picture of a coffee shop or whatever. I'm like, hey, we should do that sometime. I didn't make a plan with her. Right. And she's like, that sounds great. I said, cool. Liked the message. I didn't make a plan. But again, it just maybe not enough time had gone by. But anyways, like 2 days later, she reached out to me. She said, when and where? I was like, ooh, okay. When and where? All right, let's do it. And here's what's funny though, right? I find out that her friend told her to send that message. And I was like, the reason I took you on the date is because you brought energy, right? And I was attracted to that. I was like, oh, when and where? Okay, no doubt, right? And we go on the date, we have a really good time and things happen. But I guess to the point is like, I didn't necessarily craft this whole thing to happen. I think it just kind of started to happen. And what's interesting too is at the beginning, there was a little bit more space, right? I was like being like, I wonder when she's going to text me. You know what I mean? Like, she was acting a little dry towards me and I was like, like she's cool and I do want to get her attention. So it kind of felt more like a challenge, I think, early on. And, maybe this is my own internal work as well. But, I think just over time, as we got to know each other, and even right now, I think this is where I'm at where, this is just the truth, but, about a week or so ago, she did admit to me that she loves me, right? And that was hard for me because I turned around in that moment. I said, listen, I'm not ready to share that with you. Like, I don't know if I'm on that same page, I'm not there yet. And I think in a little bit of a way, right? I think that moment and that statement is a manifestation of where this relationship is, which is, maybe it does feel a little bit more one-sided, in a way. And I think because of that, it has created this discrepancy of attraction. Not that all attraction has been built on, again, just you being firm in your boundaries or whatever. There's more to it than that, It's the truth. The truth is off the jump, it's not like, again, I was jumping down her throat. That's also very true. So I think I'm at a place in this situation where I feel like I recognize that maybe that is the energy that I feel like I'm missing. And I don't know, you can't really tell that person that. And that's what's weird is like, it's almost just like, I have to kind of just let things play out a little bit, which is, I think if we're meant to be, it's going to be. And I think if I truly I'm sitting on this feeling and I cannot get there with this person, then that's it. I just got to end it. We just got to move on. It is what it is. But I think to both sides, right? We talked about unicorns don't exist. Perfection, doesn't exist. Good enough is good. Or, hey, your body's telling you. I don't know. I feel like this is just what it is, right? It's difficult when you're in the middle because I don't want to just like throw it away if I'm not at a full body understanding of what it is that I want. And I just don't think that I'm there yet. And again, it could be that it doesn't work, or it could be that, hey, like, to be honest, we talked about the gym. She's been going to the gym. She's been taking care of business. I'll be honest. We actually had a little bit of space this week and I feel like she kind of almost, weirdly created it. And I do feel a little bit more of this pull towards her. So it's interesting. And again, I don't know. I don't know if by me speaking on these things to her, telling her these things is going to create a better dynamic that actually might work. Possible. But it's also possible that the way that I see her, just, again, maybe I'm just not on that page and maybe I just don't fully have that full body feeling. And if that's what it is, that's what it is. But I guess to my point about the polarity and just even the question as well too, right, is like, yeah, sometimes when it is just so aligned, right? Like sometimes we think that we're asking for that, but we also need a little bit of challenge. I think that there is a yin and yang to it. And I think creating that healthy balance of both is really the pinnacle of the best relationship. Good, healthy challenge, but also at the same time, we're not dealing with constant conflict. It's not that. It's a healthy confrontation. It's like almost like going to a debate, right? Where like you both could have different opinions on something and just showing up and still being respectful of each other and still being open-minded to each other. I think it does matter. I also think the question from my coachee is interesting just based on the roles, right? And, just in the sense of like, if you're this like high-powered go-getter personality energy, sometimes having that more quiet, reserved support energy is just a better match, right? It's just a better match for you. So yeah, I think, I don't know. We're going to let things play out. Again, I'm getting yelled at for both sides to being told what to do. And I do want to say something on that as well too, which is like, not that everybody feels like they're an expert, but something that I'm realizing about myself is that sometimes when you consult too many people, you start to lose sight of just like trusting and believing in your own intuition. And sometimes we feel like we have so much control over things. And what you really need to do is relinquish a little bit of that control, right? Like I just got to trust that what is meant to happen for me will happen, right? It's almost just like, hey, talk to God and say, bro, help me out with this situation. Help me figure it out. If I'm not supposed to be with this person, show me that. Give me those feelings. And here's the thing, I do need to listen to that, right? I was telling my friend this too, is like, if I feel that strongly still, and you know what I'm saying? Because we're getting to that point. We're getting to that point where it's like, if this is still happening, it's got to be done. That's really true. No doubt. But if we're actually meant to be with each other, maybe it will become more polarizing. Maybe I will see an energy. And honestly, again, I have seen a different side to this person a little bit. And again, like I said, maybe there can be some energy that is sparked there. And to me, I just got to trust myself. I got to trust the feelings. I got to trust in God. I got to trust in, that the right things are going to pan out. And again, not get so caught up. Yes. Is it going to hurt this person if we end? Yes. Did it hurt me when we ended? Yes. It hurts everybody. It's never easy. And there's never, to me, a right time. You know what I'm saying? Yes, you could do it sooner and somebody could turn around and be like, well, I told you so. I told you they sucked. I told you guys wouldn't last. Fuck those people. For real. Run your own race, be in your own lane. And it's good to take advice. And I think from people that you really trust and people that, you respect. But what you need to do is take their feedback, let it sit with you, and try to make the best choice that you can. But sometimes, again, on that front too, is like, I feel like people get too upset about what other people are doing, It's just like, let things play out, let things ride out. And that's what I do with a lot of my coachees too. It's like, yes, we want to get you to the right decisions. And sometimes it seems very obvious, but there's a reason sometimes that you go back to somebody you shouldn't. There's reasons that you stay with somebody a little longer. Sometimes you need to see things for yourself. Sometimes you need to feel things for yourself. Sometimes you need to see things in a different way than somebody's telling you. So I feel like that's all part of it. But yeah, I don't know. Hopefully that gave you some feedback on like creating a little bit more polarity in your own relationships, and seeing that for what it is. All right. So I also had a coachee that said, she sent me a question about boundaries, and she said, what do you do when people cut you off for standing up for yourself? Because that seems to keep happening to me and it's weirdly painful. So what she's saying is like, she sets the boundary with guys. And I feel like she's talking about the guy she's talking to, where she's like, listen, you got to treat me with respect or, what's going on, right? Like I need more energy from you, right? Boundary, right? We're sticking up for ourselves. Now here's what can happen. That person turns around and is like, fuck this. I'm good. Like I'm not dealing with this energy. Gone. Now, here's the thing. If somebody throws a fit or doesn't stay around to validate those feelings, they didn't care in the first place. They don't want to be there. They don't care about your needs. And that's the interesting thing too about a lot of people that, struggle with anxious attachment or just people pleasing in general, poor boundaries, is you don't realize how many relationships that you have in your life where people are not really your friend or in a romantic relationship with you just because of who you are. It's because of what you're providing. And as soon as you cut off what you're providing because they're not reciprocating, they just get butthurt and they want to leave. Because guess what? You're cutting off what they want from you. Is at the end of the day, they're using you. And again, maybe it's not conscious like that, right? It's not like, oh my God, I'm using you on purpose. But here's the thing, right? Let's say you have somebody around, and I'm sure we all deal with it on the other end, right? Come on, we're all human, right? So I have a lot of coaches and a lot of people. Think about the amount of women that have guy friends that they just know would be there for them no matter what. You can hit him up whenever. He'll come bring you a fucking soda or some bullshit, right? He'll help you in a pinch, but you don't want to date his ass. But in the back of your mind that if you told that guy, hey, I'm down for you, he would be down. And like I said, it's both ways. The truth is, if that person turned around and was like, hey, I love you, I want a romantic relationship with you, And then you're just like, nah, I'm good. Clearly, they just wanted you because of what you were doing for them. They didn't want you for who you really were, right? And we have a lot of friendships like that too, where you might have that friend that you always hit up when you need something, or you can even think about this for yourself, right? Do you have that friend that always hits you up when they need something, but whenever you need something from them, they're never there? And if you're somebody that has poor boundaries, right, what happens? You end up with a lot of relationships like that. I mean, think about the coachie that I was talking about with the situationship, right? With this guy. She knew she wanted something deeper. She knows she wants respect. She knows she wants something deeper, but you sit perpetually in this situationship. And then what happens when you finally say, hey, I want more? They're like, nah, I'm good. Okay, go get it somewhere else. Peace. Because they were getting what they wanted, right? A lot of people, they have the relationship where they want the relationship, and you're the one that's having to compromise. So when you stop compromising and you tell them what it is, the relationship doesn't serve them anymore, because the relationship was only working for them because you were doing all the things. So with this question, right, it's like, yes, it's hurtful, right? Because you're experiencing, right? When you stand up for yourself, right, they cut you off and now you're in pain, but you're in pain because you're realizing the truth. The truth is they didn't really give a fuck about you like that. That hurts. That fucking stings. But I tell all my coachees that go through this, I was like, in order to cultivate a healthy garden and healthy relationships, you got to prune and you got to get rid of the bullshit first. And that's the uncomfortable like transformation that a lot of my coachees make, which is like, you have these relationships in your life where a lot of people are not really showing up for you. They don't really value you that much. And then what happens is you start to stand up for yourself about what it is that you need. You start to honor your feelings. They start to show you, yo, I don't give a fuck about your feelings. I don't give a fuck about your needs. And yes, the relationship might need to go away. But the worst part is this is what happens, and this is what's hard. When they leave you and abandon you, which is what you don't want to happen the most, right? Because you want love. The problem is then you feel the need to go back. You feel the need to like, oh no, I stuck up for myself. Man, maybe that was too much. Maybe I'm doing too much by telling them that I needed more energy from them. Because what? You're lonely. You don't have any other options. So you cave. You accept the bullshit. And yes, you might be hurt in this situation when, again, somebody blows you off or stops talking to you because you ask for something that you need. But you need to realize right there in that moment, I don't care how fucking painful it is. I cannot allow that energy back into my life because they don't give a fuck. And the truth is you need to cultivate new relationships. And that's what it is, right? And then you'll get to the place of the garden where maybe they just start, again, like my new coachee, where they're like, they're too much. Now they're getting too nice. They're too respectful. And then you need to find that middle ground, right? Where like they give you a healthy amount of challenge and a healthy amount of love. And that's what we're looking for. It's just fucking balance. That's what it all is. That's what love is. That's what social cues are. It's all about good balance. It's about knowing how much space to give somebody, right? It's like knowing how much to rely on somebody, right? Having that middle ground of being able to rely on somebody, but also being able to rely on yourself. And like I said, this person, specifically with this question, right? Her journey is going to be relying on herself and being able to say, okay, you're leaving me because I asked you for what I needed. All right, cool. Bounce. I'm out. Like, good. Yes, this fucking hurts like shit because I'm getting abandoned and I'm having to face the fear that I don't want to face, which is people are going to start fucking abandoning me if I ask for what I need. But the truth is eventually you will find people that will give you what you need. You need to break through that barrier, right? I think that's the hardest part for a lot of people I work with, is like breaking that seal from, because here's the thing. A lot of the times when you're a person that has been shown that your vulnerability is going to be used against you, or that your vulnerability is not good enough, you go back into that pattern. You go back to people that don't give a shit about your vulnerability. You go back to people that don't give a shit about your needs. You need to break through the wall, right? And the wall to me looks like this. You start speaking up vulnerably to the people that don't give a shit. What happens? They abandon you because they're like, fuck this. I don't care about your stupid needs. Now, the problem is right there at that moment, right here where this girl is at, right? Where she's turning around, she's saying, I feel bad. I feel shitty, right? They left me. I told them what I needed and they left me. I need to keep my coaching on track. And I need to say, whoa. Don't stop. Don't stop. That doesn't mean go back to them. That doesn't mean accept their bullshit, because they will be back. What it means is keep going. Keep being vulnerable. Keep speaking up for what you need. Keep doing it. Keep doing it. There are people out there that will respect your vulnerability. There are people out there that will validate your emotions. There are people out there that will validate your needs. Use my other coachee as the example. She was dealing with this for a year, and now she has somebody that is giving her too much. It is possible. It is possible. Believe. I mean, that analogy is so true about anything in life, right? Where it's like, let's say you want to start a business. That's what a business is to start, right? It's like, a lot of people don't believe in you at first, right? You create let's say you make a pencil company. This is weird. That's strange. In 2025, a pencil dude, what was the last time you used a pencil? I couldn't tell you. Long story short. Pencil, right? Let's say you start a pencil company. At first, your pencils might suck. And you really have to push through that barrier of being like, damn, nobody's buying my pencils. Like, are my pencils that good? Like, I don't know. Keep motherfucking going. Keep going. Keep getting better at fucking making the best pencil ever. Eventually, you're going to find people that buy pencils. Eventually. I don't know where they're at. But it's the same thing for this girl, right? It's like, you've given that vulnerability. This person didn't want it. It doesn't mean that the next person won't. But I can guarantee you something, that if you stop being vulnerable, if you stop asking for what you need, we just talked about at the beginning of this podcast, you will not create polarity. People will not be attracted to you. You will have no self-worth. You will not find love. And the worst part is then going back to people that treated you like shit already. You can't do any of that. I hope we're creating enough pain on the side of not speaking up, on not being vulnerable. You have to. And that's what I'm saying. There's levels to it. There's levels to it. This girl is at the level of just needing basic respect. And then after that, it's like at the level of like, where I'm at, where it's like, I know that I can get partners that will give me what I need. Now it's about me just like leaning in and trusting those values and trusting those needs and finding somebody that's even more aligned to me. Some people are really at that basement of like not really trusting themselves and believing in themselves, and they're dealing with these people that don't give a fuck about them, to the people that, okay, I've got people that give a fuck about me, but now I need to find somebody that gives a fuck about me, but that can also stand up for themselves. And the only way to get into that market of high confident people is if you really trust and believe in yourself and you have those strong and firm values. I do want to talk about the all eggs in a basket thing. So let's switch gears. And somebody sent me in a question about putting all her eggs in a basket early on in dating. And I wanted to talk about this because I know a lot of my people experience this as well. So let's get into it. She said, "Hi, Chris. Love the podcast. Quick question for you. I just got out of a marriage 10 months ago and I'm starting to go on dates. I know I have a tendency to put all my eggs in one basket. So it has been suggested to me by my friends to date multiple people so things are taken slow and ease my way back into dating. The problem is I feel guilty for dating multiple people at once, but I know deep down if I only focus on one guy, I get too attached too fast. Obviously, this is just talking about the early talking dating phase. If I was in a relationship with someone, there wouldn't be multiple men. Any help would be greatly appreciated." And now here's another thing, right? So I have other coaches that are facing this exact situation. And again, this goes down to the polarity. This goes down to sticking up for what it is that you value, knowing what it is that you value, and being really careful about not getting or feeling that guilt. That guilt right there is what keeps you from being authentic, right? You're already telling me what's authentic to me is like, I just got out of a relationship. And here's the other thing too. Dating multiple people to me is the right thing, right? Just going to the next person that you find attractive It's like, to me, you haven't done enough research, right? It's like, do some market research for a little bit. You see what I'm saying? It's like, try a couple different things, right? If you go buy some makeup, what do? Do you just pick up the first piece of makeup that you like and you're just like, I'm going to buy this one, I'm good. I mean, maybe, right? There's some people that do that. There's nothing wrong with that. That's all I'm going to say. But for me, I would like to consider myself an educated buyer, right? Where it's like, I want to look at reviews. I want to look at the different options. To me, that is like you're figuring out what it is that you want. And again, sometimes you can have options overload, and that is a lot too. It's what a lot of people complain about. But to your point, you just got to have a relationship. Take your time, know yourself. And this is what's so important too about the boundaries thing as well, and holding what it is that you value. You do have to know yourself. You do have to really understand where you're at, right? To me, this is very like simple. You're telling me where you're at. You're saying, yo, Chris, just got to have a relationship. I know I'm at that place where like, I do want to meet somebody, but I also know that I want to take my time. I want to turn around and be like, let's do it then. Why are we feeling guilty for knowing what it is that we value, right? You're feeling guilty for operating in a process that you want to embark on. Because the truth is this: you date multiple people, and if you date somebody that needs that instant security, that's just all up in your grill, to me, it could be, that might be a little off-putting. Maybe that's not your person, and you're going to repel away the wrong person. And it's not to say, here's the thing, if you meet somebody and you got a really good vibe and you're just going, just roll with it. Roll with it. I do agree on the too attached thing though too, right? It's like sometimes we really do put all of our eggs in one basket too fast, because even when you do meet somebody, you don't know them. Even if the energy feels good, you could sit here and tell me that just based off a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks. You don't. So, I've had to help my other friend with this too, because he's a commitment whore, and, he needs to take some time. And it's funny because there's some girls in the dating pool that I think have pressured him into a relationship, pressured him into that commitment too fast, when it's like, I think that there is something to meeting people. And I think I truly believe this. A truly secure partner has this understanding. Think about yourself for a half a second, right? You're this girl that, again, you have a tendency to put all your eggs in one basket, but you're dating right now and you're like, all right, I want to spread out my options because, I want to see what's out there. And I also don't want to go too fast. Now, if you met a guy first date, are you going to expect that from him? Are you going to expect him to commit to you right there on the spot? Are you going to expect him to not be talking to anybody else? No, you'd probably be secure enough in being like, no, it's fine. Like, whatever. We're not at that place yet. It is what it is. I think a truly secure person would also feel that way. And what happens is sometimes this, right? So I have a coachee right now, and she's going through this. She met this guy, right? And her pattern actually, so let me back up for a second. Her pattern is she meets these guys, right? They love bomb her. And then after like 3 months or so, they drop her, right? And that is her pattern. She has gone in like 3 or 4 relationships like that. So what do we need to do? We need to slow these people down, right? Her pattern is she allows these love bombers in way too quick. She commits herself way too quick because again, her boundaries are getting pushed because she knows she feels that way. That's the worst part, is that this girl tells me, she's like, with the last guy, I did feel like it was too fast, but I kind of went along with it. Boom. What happened? Right? Lacking that polarity, lacking what it is that you care about, what you feel, what you value. You want to go slower. It doesn't feel right to go that fast. See what I'm saying? So she now met this new guy, right? And this is a little extreme example, but it's just what is happening. It's real. She went out, they hung out, her and her girlfriend and this guy, this is the first time they were all hanging out together. It was like kind of like the first date almost. But again, it wasn't like a date because they weren't alone. After that moment, the guy was out and she was home, and she was supposed to go out, but then she didn't. And then the guy's saying like, babe, I wish you were here. You know what I'm saying? She's meeting another guy that's doing the same thing again. And we talked about it, and she's like, oh, Chris, I don't like this. I was like, we got to say something. And she did. And the guy ended up doubling down and was like, hey, I'm sorry if I'm being a little bit too much. And she turned around and she said, hey, listen, like, I'm gonna be honest, like, yeah, that just feels like a lot for right now. And apparently now what's happening is he's distanced himself from her to the point that my coachee is getting scared. My coachee's like, but now it's just like, she's like, I think I scared him away completely. And see, this is the tough part, right? That's the guilt. That's the guilt of the anxious right there. Hey, I stuck up for myself. And now what are they doing? Abandoning me, right? And what do? What is your instinct? Oh, I got to make this right. I got to go fix this. No. That's what I told my coachee. I was like, if this guy can't understand that, you're repelling away what is not for you. I was like, I don't think that he's going to be gone forever. Don't get that into your head. Maybe he is giving you space because now he is scared, right? He made that move. He feels frightened. So now what is he doing? He's going to ignore because he's fucking frightened. That's the truth. But again, don't get knocked off your path. And that's what happens way too much in dating. And especially for my people. Do not get knocked off your path. Do not get knocked off your truth, because as soon as you do, you fuck yourself. You lay over for people, and then you wonder why people don't respect you, or you don't create that polarity, or you don't create that attraction. It's because you're not firm. And the truth is that if this guy's meant to be in her life, guess what? He's not going to run away forever. He'll come back and he'll slow down the pace. And guess what? It will create a better connection. Because now for him, again, it's not unhealthy, right? Is that unhealthy challenge? Is she being a bitch? No. She's creating healthy challenge, which means, hey, my feelings on this are different. And I'm going to express that to you. Not because I'm afraid you're going to abandon me, but for me to be in my truth. And like I said, what it's going to do is what? If this guy runs away completely and doesn't talk to her, I told my coachee, I was like, you don't need his validation. Just because he's running away doesn't mean you are not worthy. Doesn't mean you did something wrong. You honored your feelings. Because the truth is the right guy is going to go at the right pace. And what you did now is actually repel the wrong one. That's the beauty behind boundaries. And this is what we're talking about with my other coachee that's saying this about like, oh, but now he left me after I stuck up for myself. You're repelling away the people that are not supposed to be in your life. It is not a success. Stop looking at people running away from you as an error. You see what I'm saying? A lot of people, because they're striking that fear inside you and triggering that fear of abandonment, you think you're doing something wrong. But that's what keeps you stuck. It keeps you stuck because you then can't trust in your organic, honest self. And this is why you're in the cycle. Is because we're letting the guilt beat us. We're letting the fear beat us. What is guilt? I did something wrong. And when you look at that situation objectively, class, everybody who's listening, did my coachee do something wrong by agreeing and saying, hey, that's a little fast? Everybody would say, no. But what happens? My coachee still feels what? Guilt. Fear. Fear that I did something wrong because I pissed somebody off. Well, sweetheart, buckle up. Because we need healthy confrontation if we're going to create a great relationship. Point blank. Right? And also, it protects you from the people that are not supposed to be in your life. And this is how we cultivate really strong relationships, is by honoring ourselves, is by being real with others. Even if that means that they're not supposed to be in our life, that is still a success. So in your situation about dating the multiple people, what I would want you to do is face that guilt, face that fear. Ask yourself honestly, be honest with yourself. Am I really doing something wrong by dating multiple people in the beginning where we don't have commitment? And every objective person on the planet would turn around and say, no, you are not wrong. So follow that. See what I'm saying? Don't let that fear beat you. Because that, to me, that's what gets you in shitty relationships. Right? My coachee, two things will happen. Either the guy will slow down or he'll abandon and he'll leave. And guess what? Good riddance. See you later, bro. Go tell somebody else, babe, on the first night that we haven't even gone on a date. That's weird. You know, point blank. That's weird. Why are you going to date somebody like that? You want somebody that's secure. The next time you meet the next guy, guess what? He's going to take his time. He's not going to call you babe. He's not going to be down your throat because you said no to the wrong one, because you repelled away the wrong one. And this is where a lot of people get stuck too, is they hold on to the wrong one. And you hold on to the wrong one because they kill you with guilt and fear. Most of y'all's relationships is based on fear. It's not based on confidence. It's based on you not wanting people to abandon you rather than you telling yourself, no, I can find the thing that I want. No, I can be respected. No, people can actually love me for me. No, people will actually love me even if I'm a computer nerd. No, people will actually love me if I'm just my vulnerable, honest self. That's the truth. It is true. But a lot of people don't believe that. And for good reasons. This is why we go through childhood and the coaching, right? It's like, we got to understand where this came from. A lot of our parents showed us that wasn't good enough. And because we don't feel good enough, we don't trust our vulnerable self. We don't trust our vulnerable self. We get into relationships where people treat us that way. They treat us like shit. They shit on our vulnerability because that's what we're familiar with. We got to change the narrative. So, the all eggs in one basket thing, all I'm going to tell you is this: honor yourself. Honor what it is that you're going through, which means date around, date multiple people. Ignorance is a little bit bliss in that talking stage, just to be honest. It's just real. Like, be careful about, you don't need to share details of what you're doing with everybody because they're not there yet. You don't owe them that yet either. And the reality is when the right one comes around, guess what will happen? You'll be going on dates with a few people, and the right person is just going to shake out. And I'm just going to tell you a little bit of a story about an old coachee that I had. I haven't talked to her in a while because guess what? She's in a great fucking relationship. But she was dating two guys for a long time. I want to say like 3 months, both of them. And she was, the first guy that she met, she was kind of like, nah, I don't really know. He's being weird. She kind of was like, she was like a little off put by him a little bit for some few reasons. She was really excited about the second guy. Second guy, they hang out more. She starts to realize, this guy's kind of immature. This guy's not showing up for me. Like, yeah, I feel like the chemistry is better, but he's just not showing up. First guy, stable, consistent, showing up. Their relationship's getting stronger. If she had cut him off to put all the eggs in one basket on two, guess what happened? She drops two, and now she's dating one. And she's been with him. I haven't heard a peep from her. Because again, she stuck with what she valued, which is, hey, I'm not going to stop dating two people because, first off, neither of these people have committed themselves to me yet. So that's the other thing, right? It's like, it's not like you've done it in return. But also, too, it's not even just about them. It's about, hey, I do want some time to check these options out. I do want a time to filter out and see what makes sense for me. To me, that just makes sense, right? And think about the shopping analogy. Is it wrong? Here's the thing, even for somebody wanting to work with me, is it weird for you to check out 3 or 4 different dating coaches and see which one you vibe with more? I mean, come on. That's not weird. I want you to do that research. I want you to find what vibrates best for you. And again, if I'm secure, am I going to be like, you're a fucking idiot, babe? You gotta work with me. No, that's crazy. You'd be like, this guy's a psychopath. You want to be around people that are secure, and people that are secure understand that they're not going to vibrate with everybody. They understand that, guess what? There's going to be some uncertainty at the beginning. That's just what it is. Sorry. Roll with it. I mean, even in my situation right now, the truth is, right? Roll with it. It's a little uncertain right now. Who cares? The right thing's going to happen. Are people going to get their feelings hurt in this and in life? Yeah, they are. But you're telling me you can't handle that? That's what's funny about people. Is we're so scared of hurting everybody else's feelings, but the craziest part is like, do you trust yourself to be hurt? What would you rather? Would you rather somebody tell you the truth or string you along? You'd probably be like, well, I'd probably want the truth. So why don't we give other people that respect? And that's what I told my coachees all the time too. This is a big one, which is like, by not being direct with people about what it is that you value and your truth, you are pretty much telling them that they are not responsible enough to handle their own feelings. By you not being direct with people, by you not being honest with people, you are showing them or telling them that you don't trust that they can handle their own feelings. How does that feel? Where does that land for you? Are you going to keep being indirect with people and keep being, oh, I'm not going to tell you my truth because I don't want to hurt you. I don't want to tell you that I don't want to commit to you right now because I don't want to hurt your feelings. Is that fair? Don't you want to know the truth? Wouldn't you respect somebody so much more if they told you that for a fact? But we don't do it in return because we're scared. We have guilt. All I'm saying is respect that people can handle their feelings. And the truth is they're never going to learn if you don't allow them to learn. It's not fair when you're not telling somebody your truth. It's not fair to keep people in the dark because you don't want them to be disappointed. So my whole point is live in alignment with your truth. Know what your truth is. I mean, me too. I know it's never going to be perfect, right? Because sometimes you really got to get smart on what your truth really is. But ultimately, when you get to that place and you know what it is that you value, you know what it is that you want. And again, for this situation, you know you're at a place where you're going to date multiple people. Just do it. Just do it. And do it guilt-free. And just live your life. And again, the right guy, he's going to take your time. He's going to take his time with you. And he's going to be secure enough to build that connection with you with a slow burn. I'm such a big believer in the slow burn connection now. I really do. I'm so serious. You don't know who people are very fast. Take your time. And don't let somebody bully you. I hate these fucking people. Like, after a month, after 3 dates. Fuck those people. I can't stand those people. Slow burn. I don't care. I don't give a fuck. And if you don't want to be here and you're so scared, go be scared somewhere else. Shiver me timbers. Oh, but what if you sleep with somebody else? I mean, come on, get out of here with that, right? It's like, listen, I understand at some point it's got to elevate, and that's where the boundaries come in, right? Where it's like, okay, I was just shitting on these shiver me timbers people, but if you value needing that commitment off the jump, guess what? Don't let me tell you that, right? Find somebody that when you meet them off the jump, they will commit. There are people out there in both categories. Again, I'm telling you what I think is my healthy opinion. But again, who am I? Who am I to tell you how to live your life? Know your fucking truth, admit your truth, speak your truth, and the right people are going to align to you. That is the secret sauce. And again, my whole point is if you let go of your truth and you betray your own truth and you keep laying over because you feel guilty, guess what? No one's going to respect you. You're not going to maintain great connections because the attraction is going to be gone. There's going to be no polarity. There's going to be no, substance to that relationship. You need that. And the truth is, that's how you vibrate and find an authentic connection that really does align with you. Is because when you speak your truth, you find people that are also on the receiving end of that and liking that and loving that. All right. I think I had a question about female friends, but I'll do that next time. I love you guys. If you ever want to work with me, you know where to find me. And I'll talk to you soon.